seat for everyone out there and streaming online. It's great to be here. It's great to be back in person. And so we're just going to have really pretty much a conversation about what LucidLink is in the context of Adobe workflows. And just full disclosure, Dave and I go back more years than we should probably
We go
admit.
back too far.
So maybe the first thing that we can talk about is what is LucidLink. So in case you haven't, anyone have any experience with it before or not? Completely nothing. Okay. So terrific. So LucidLink is a cloud file storage system that allows you to edit content. It looks like a real drive, looks like a local drive, but allows you to edit across distance in a performant manner. So typically when I connect to LucidLink, I'm connecting to a cloud object storage system in California. But guess what? I actually live in Atlanta, Georgia, right? So I'm literally across the country editing HD and 4K media in real time. And how are we doing that? We'll kind of talk about that a little bit more, but I'd love to talk also about what Adobe does and the combination of the two. So let me introduce Dave. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks. So yeah, Dennis and I go way back. We were actually on the same team for many, many years. He knows video certainly better than the next guy. So you have a great resource here just to ask all sorts of Adobe questions too as well. He's a great support for Acrobat Reader too, so ask him those questions.
Oh, please don't.
Anyway, so yes, Dave Helmley. I'm part of the Strat Dev team for Pro Video. We have about 20 of us worldwide that work with professional workflows for enterprises and pro users, I'll say. But, you know, we've also done a lot of work with, you know, education institutions and government as well. And that's one of the ways that I kind of discovered LucidLink. We can get into that a little bit, but just wanted to let you know, feel free to ask me questions. I'm also known as the gear guy, the kind of the futurist guy, always looking for new technologies that make my software run better. And this is a perfect example of what got us through the last 2 years. And I think we've all had enough of that. We're happy to be back at NAB.
Right. So with that in mind, actually, I'd love to and we'll get into kind of a demo and talk about what LucidLink does with Adobe products and what it adds for it. But perhaps you can kind of give me a little bit of background on your discovery of LucidLink and how you came upon that.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, LucidLink, you know, as I recall, I'm going to say it's, I don't know, roughly 8 years old or so. Maybe it's a little bit older than that. We had looked at them a while ago because I'm always looking at new technologies. It kind of came back across my desk. They had done some work in Washington, D.C. We have a pretty big office out there. I had some people asking questions to me about what was going on with this government group that was out there. Again, nothing to do with video. And I went back to my partner manager. We were talking about it. And we were like, hey, these guys actually want to have a conversation. I got geared up. They set me up with an account. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't believe what I was seeing, as we'll talk about in just a second. That's not an advertisement. That's just me. You know, I'm not paid by these guys to say anything. But when I looked at this, I was floored because the tools that we normally see, you know, and I'm also, I should say, I'm the cloud edit guy. I'm head of Strat Dev for cloud edit. So the tools that we have in, you know, all these great partners like, you know, AWS and Azure and Google, they have their own ways of getting to their cloud storage, but you have to use an app, which I would call a transfer app. You have to know what's coming in, what's going out, these types of things. And LucidLink just puts all that behind you. It mounts like a regular hard drive. And there are some things that do that. But one of the things that I noticed is it's the only one that runs on the Mac, right? And I'm always on the hunt where I'm looking out for all these different technologies. There's some other solutions which will run under Windows, but in the Adobe environment, we want to play equal to everything. And also, you know, Dennis knows this. He was part of the team. You know, we worked on Deadpool. Our names are in the credits, so, you know, we get some credit for some of the work, which is cool. But, you know, that's a perfect example. They have cross workflows between, you know, Mac and Windows. There's all sorts of things going on. And even in Hollywood, what do they have? They have Linux. So the product even supported Linux. Even my stuff doesn't run on it. It means they can still be part of the share. So from the workflow standpoint, I just like talking about it because for me, it kind of gets that worry and that objection out of the way. We have someone in Australia, we have someone in Brazil, and we have someone in New York. This is the way the world is, which is awesome. We're all working together on a single storage. So one of the things, Dennis, I always kind of like to point out, if I can, and I'll try to do it this way, get away from that. Let me see if I can find my mouse. There it is. So we're all used to, either Mac or Windows, getting to the hard drive. You would just double click on it and go. You're used to this system for moving files around. So there's nothing new to learn. It's just, it's the same way you've always worked. You would attach to a server over here if you had a server in your organization. Well, with LucidLink, all you do is just click on the app. I've already got this set to where it's going to auto log me in. It connects me to my file storage of choice. And it's going to just double check that the database looks okay, and then up it goes. And it looks just like, a volume for the system that you're on. So on the Mac, it comes up as a volume, and there's all the files and folders. And I really, at this point, don't even need to tell you what else is going on, other than the speed is amazing. It plays back like magic. What makes LucidLink a lot different in my eyes is they have a very unique caching system. And it's just-in-time playback for Premiere Pro. So if I come down here, where's my mouse? There it is. We need to make that mouse a little bigger. And I just come up here on the space bar, and I just hit play. There's a multicam playing from the cloud. There's nobody else that can really do that. Dennis, I'm going to attempt to do this.
Go for it. While he's doing that, go ahead. You ready?
Yeah, let me just see if I got a...
Oh, I know what you're going to do. The dog ears.
So I'm going to put this in what I call nerd mode. That's what you're looking for. It's not dropping any frames. So I can JKL that. I can have a great experience. So you're not giving up anything. I'll also say this. I'd love to tell you that it only works with Adobe, because that makes me happy, but it works with anything, right? You can see all the apps down at the bottom, because we all know creators are going to create in the tool of choice. We're all trying to make this work. It's just a hard drive. So that's what attracted me to that. The operating systems, the speed. I say set it and forget it. And then we've got some other things we could talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the things that he talked about that is really interesting, that leads to the idea of collaboration, is it is a single source of truth. So how many people have used things like Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive? Oh, pretty much everyone. It's almost a rhetorical question, right? But there's a couple of problems with that, in the sense that if I upload, all of us here, say 20 of us here kind of doing that, and I upload a file, and we have to wait for it to get to all of you at all the endpoints, because it's replicating the data. But Dave talked about it just a moment ago. It is a single source of truth. Everyone, it looks like a local drive, but it shares like a network drive, and it scales like the cloud. And it's that combination of things that also enables a lot of the workflows that we talk about with Adobe.
And even if you're trying to do backups and you've got, some utilities that do backups, it's just a file drive. And on Windows, of course, it's a file path with Drive L or whatever you assign it to. You're already comfortable with that. And when you use it, I'll tell you, you kind of forget what's going on the background, and that's what I love about it. You log in once, and if you say, I just want to auto log this in, when I click on it, I'm good to go. The other things we could talk about is the app that's up here. And if I just, I can go open up the folder, or better yet, I can get over to, for the people that are worried about sort of the IT settings, how easy is it to add users? What about SSO if I'm in an enterprise? They figured all of that out. They've also got a great document which talks about some recommended ways to use some of the Adobe apps and other apps, ways to set cache and things like that. And like I say, it just kind of works. It's really, really easy, and we're amazed by it. And I've brought it to so many customers, and we talked a little bit about about COVID and some of the remote editing, and now we're getting out of that. We all agree, but now it's a hybrid workflow. So think about, I need to go back to the office. They've asked me to go back. I've got my Mac or Windows laptop. You just keep using LucidLink in the office, because it works great in the office. You're on Ethernet. Then you go home, your files are just there. Everything follows you. There's nothing to learn. And the best part, there's no hard drive to carry in your pocket or in your laptop bag. So,
I mean, I think we all kind of understand that a hybrid or remote is kind of, in some ways, the new normal. And whether you're in the office or you're remote, it doesn't matter. You're able to access the media. And again, it's looking like a local drive. We're streaming this legitimately from the internet right now and not seeing any dropped frames.
And I'm just going through some JKL now. You know, it just works, right? Like you're not seeing any offline frames and things like that. Things just work the way that you would expect it to work. So, like I say, the other reason I love this product is when I introduce it to customers, I'm done in like 5 minutes, and then I get the rest of the hour or whatever to talk about my stuff. Because what happens in a lot of these meetings, because I get brought into a lot of cloud and remote workflows, this kind of monopolizes the conversation on how are we going to get our whole team here, our worldwide team, working together in a single place. And maybe we've set up a team projects or production inside of Premiere Pro, and everybody, or even After Effects, they've got their specialties, and people are contributing to the timeline. All that media lives in the cloud. You just kind of forget about it. It's so easy. We have some customers that have over 1,000 people using it at the same time. So there's lots of different, corporate users, but I'll also just back it up to, let's say you're not an enterprise and you're on a budget, maybe you're a starving filmmaker. There's some great packages, $12 a month per terabyte. I'm always impressed, but that's a great way to test the water too. IBM has got some great storage. And then if you already have partnerships with AWS, Azure, Google, and some of the other ones, you can bring that with you as well. So if you want to bring your own storage. So whether or not you're a starving student filmmaker, or maybe, that's just your budget right now. And when you're ready to get something bigger and you want to work in a team and you need some more security, there's a whole roadmap without changing your workflow.
Yeah. And you talked about collaboration. And so specifically in Premiere Pro, there's a couple of different collaboration technologies. Why don't you talk about that in terms of...
So one of the things we're pretty excited about, we did spend a little bit of money on this company known as Frame.io. So Frame.io is now built into Premiere Pro. It's part of the app. And this is a really confusing topic, even for some of my new teammates on the Frame.io side. There's no real duplication of effort here with Frame.io. So let's say we're all on the same team, and we need to, we've got this collaboration going on, and I've got Miguel, and you're like, okay, I need to go work on this project. You go to Frame.io, you click on it, you still have to download that locally somewhere to work on it. And it could download fast. It's a proxy. We have a very fast back end. But wouldn't it be better if Miguel was like, look, I'm going to go ahead and do this for the team. I'll set up the project. I'll put everything on LucidLink. I'll assign the team members, because again, you just go file new team project. You set up the team. And then from that point out, as you guys come in, there's no relinking, because the central point is LucidLink. So the entire team is got all their media on LucidLink. You're still using Frame.io for all the things that are magic, and it just works.
And what about team projects? Like, that was actually what I was kind of thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is that without something like LucidLink?
A nightmare. So the reason it's a nightmare is that everybody has their own drive. You've got a LaCie, you've got a G-Tech, you're going local, your Windows, your Mac, right? There's all these other different things that are out there. And to me, you don't have to worry with any of that. The file path is, what LucidLink has done is smart enough to figure out, I'm Mac, Windows, I'm Linux. I kind of know what that file system needs to do. You as a user can concentrate on your edit. And in Adobe's environment, and certainly Dennis knows this, we're trying to get you back to edit as fast as your mind can think. And I will tell you, as a technologist, technology just gets in the way. And the LucidLink guys have heard me say this before. I find storage absolutely the most boring thing to talk about, but they've made it exciting again, right? Because this really isn't storage. It's so much more than just that. You're not just attaching a thumb drive. It's not just another drive. It's this ability to bring everyone together to create. And I will tell you, take my word, just try it. They've got a trial. It's pretty amazing.
Now, I believe that Adobe uses this technology within your team right now.
I do. So that is a good point. So our editor for our team, John
Your
Barry,
reports have to be
that's
video.
correct. So we have to do video reports every month. Hey, what was going on this week? Hey, we of course always shooting video, and now we're shooting camera to cloud with the iPhones, which is pretty cool. Moving this stuff over to LucidLink. John is in, and by the way, I'm in Maryland. John's in Australia. We have team in Europe.
Byron's in the UK.
That's right. Byron's in the UK, and we got all the guys in Sweden and Norway, and we've got our Brazilian team as well. And everyone contributes to the single LucidLink folder. John assembles it. The server, by the way, is in Virginia. John is in Australia, assembling the entire project. And we have a lot of people at Adobe go, how do you do that with the worldwide team? And by the way, everybody's contributing media. We've got someone who's really good with After Effects, someone who's really good, obviously, in Premiere, and then someone that always wants to go through audio cleanup. Everybody on the team gets to contribute. So I think if it wasn't for LucidLink working the way that it does, you wouldn't even be having that conversation to where, like I said, right, Miguel, you've got someone that really knows, someone, maybe it's a student that you've hired. And I always like to, a lot going on in Brazil with us these days, a student in Brazil. And you're like, wow, I'd really love to, he's got some great talent. You can bring that person in there, just give them a log on. Now, LucidLink even has a way for you to let that student log on to the account, right? They could become part of your LucidLink team. And then when they're done the project, you just delete the user. Pretty easy, right? So then they're done with the project. You don't have to worry about security. You can revoke those rights. It's just a click of a button. Super easy.
Yeah. And so, as I said earlier, my typical connection, I'm based in Atlanta. I'm typically connecting to Northern California. So legitimately 2,500 miles away, editing every day, no drop frames, no issues. However, we talk just about Australia, Brazil, UK. What's your personal long distance story?
So that's a good question because LucidLink's been pretty generous to let me play around with a lot of the storage around the planet, which is pretty awesome. And they've also given me partners like Wasabi and IBM, and as I said, some of the other AWS and Azure type partners. The one I love to show the most from Maryland is Japan. So I'll log on to
like legitimately halfway around the world.
Right, IBM Japan. The IBM storage, which is a great platform, and I just start editing, and it works honestly no different than you're seeing it here. It's crazy. I don't understand the math. I was a computer science major, by the way, but the math just makes no sense to me. The magic makes no sense to me. Now, I will also tell you that I wouldn't advise that if you found cheaper storage in Japan, that you start that way. You should probably, they'll figure out whether or not you're East Coast, West Coast, or whatever. But the fact that you could do that and invite someone to that. The other thing, speaking about in different areas around, I'm thinking of India, because we do a lot with India too. I have an India server set up because Adobe has a big India team as well. And I've got them all running on LucidLink, checking it out. A 20 up and a 20 down connection for most 1080 edits is more than adequate. So if you're curious about what kind of connection do I need, I like to play with technology. So I went out and bought one of these Starlink satellite SpaceX things. I've been playing around with that. It's actually working pretty good. It's not quite giving me 20 down. I get almost 200, or I get 200 down, close to 200 down, but only about 15 up. Still works pretty good. So just letting you know, I'm constantly trying to figure out what the platforms are out there. So pretty cool.
That's great. And so one other thing that's great about LucidLink as the website, anyone, doesn't matter who you are, can sign up for a free 14-day trial. No credit card. You don't need to put anything in there. So there is absolutely zero reasons why you can't give that a go.
And I would also point them to some of the YouTube videos, some of the seminars that have been going on.
You did one with Colin?
Yeah, so Colin is another teammate of ours from years ago who I showed him LucidLink. He still just can't stop talking about it. So he's a creator up in Canada. Now he retired from Adobe and now he has over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So you can get lots of information from YouTube, hear it from other people up on that. So maybe, since we've got a few minutes, coming up, can we let's answer some questions for you guys. Happy to give you my opinion. This is just Dave's opinion.
The first one is always the most difficult.
And feel free to ask anything. So you want to know what it takes to edit 4K videos? Anybody curious about that? And again, my findings have been 100 up, 100 down. So no proxy, right from the camera. That's at full quality. So when you're working in Premiere, you hit the full tab. You can, of course, bring that down. But in my edits, that's what I figured out. It's
that
100,
also brings
100.
up another great point, though. Like we've talked, Adobe has an integrated proxy workflow.
Yeah.
And what is that like actually on
So is anybody
LucidLink?
using proxies in our workflow? You know how that works?
She is. Yeah.
So we're doing a lot to give you the next revision of that. So let's just say that this folder here is filled with media, and I'll just say that it's RE or red or something super heavy. All I have to do is right mouse click on that and say create proxies. I don't know if I can get the mouse to come over here. I'll do the left-handed mouse. Click. Maybe not. Oh, this is, they don't have it set up. Anyway, so you right mouse click on it. And then it just says proxy. You say create proxies. You pick what flavor of proxy that you want. You could pick ProRes LT. You can pick ProRes Proxy H.264, H.265. That now gives you the same camera name, same time code, underscore proxy. Where do you point that proxy? Point it at LucidLink, right? And then you could remove, you could download the camera raw files from LucidLink, or let's say the camera raw files are on your local computer, just upload the proxies. Premiere will figure out what's where, and then we have a proxy button that you just hit and you can toggle your proxies on or off. Super, super easy. And what makes it possible is LucidLink is just another drive, just another file path. So Premiere doesn't even know anything where LucidLink is. It just knows it can find it in the operating system.
Yeah, I found that, my own experience with proxy workflows, putting up both the camera originals, maybe they're so heavy that, normal internet is not going to work so great. I can put all of those up there, have Media Encoder generate those proxies adjacent to the original files, all in LucidLink, and then I can be editing off the proxies until I need to, okay, I'm done, let me render out a final, and then I switch to the online and do it.
I mean, hopefully you're getting a common theme here. It's no different than if you just connected your pocket drive, and that's the way it ought to work. They're doing all the hard work on their engineering side, making sure that they're taking advantage of the latest OS. Mac M1, our whole team just got outfitted with the new laptop, the big boy, as I say. And Lucid was not far behind. I think maybe about a week or so behind, and they were up and running on the new OS, which is pretty good if you've ever had to work with Apple on the developer side and get things going. So it worked great, and it's fast. We're happy to tell you that we're, fully M1 on the Mac, and things are super fast, 8x faster in some cases, sometimes even more.
Wow.
So and just on the development side, you guys have done a great job. So.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. So the question was, is there a user group for LucidLink where people could get together and have a chat? So I'm sure there's a forum, which is pretty good. There's a Slack channel, which is like, I need the answer now, which is awesome. And obviously it also works on your phone. Like I said, you've got some YouTube videos that are out there, and the LucidLink staff is pretty good about answering questions as well.
We've got a growing number of systems and, chat support. He mentioned the Slack channel. So we've got public forums. So all of that is either online right now or coming very soon.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. The hardest thing about installing LucidLink, in all honesty, is the operating system keeping you from hurting yourself. Because you get in there and it's like, oh, well, answer these 15 questions about security first. It's nothing to do with LucidLink. That's just on the OS side. And I'm just kidding. It's only like 2 or 3. So you have to do that. Maybe you have to reboot. Now it's in a secure environment, and you're good to go. You type in your file space, you get your password. And once you do that, you don't have to do that again unless you're worried about someone taking your computer. But it will automatically log you. And you notice when I logged into LucidLink, I didn't have to put in a password. It just mounted it. And by the way, when you leave the office and you've shut your computer down and you go home and you reboot, LucidLink automatically connects if that's the last state that you left it in, which is awesome too, because it's just always there. So depending on how your creative mind works, if you're more of a creator or more of a technical creator like me, that likes the nerdy bits, you can work the way you want to work. Any other questions? Anything you guys can think about? All good. Anything else you want to add, Jen?
Do you count?
I count. Okay, Dave, what other, so we talked about Premiere Pro, productions, teams. What other Adobe applications have you used LucidLink for? What do they work on?
Anything. I mean, in all honesty, Photoshop, InDesign, you know, Acrobat, any of the products, it's really just a hard drive. There aren't any limitations. Again, I would love to talk to my friend George about just making things run a little faster on Adobe, because they make the other apps run slower that aren't Adobe. But let's be fair. So well, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just a hard drive. So.
On that example of Photoshop, we've got a good mutual friend who's doing production, and his particular design workflow is really large Photoshop files that are then animated using Character Animator. And he gave me a small one, 1.2 gigabytes.
Yeah.
And he's got some that are tens of gigabytes or even over 100 gigabytes. And I said, wait a second, are you talking about 100 gigabytes of Photoshop file? He said, yes. And he's doing a current TV production on that right now today.
I think it's fair to say, right, that you sort of can't beat math, which is like, I got to get the files up there. That is really up to your provider. It's also up to, let's just say, if you're editing on Wi-Fi, and I've had these conversations all the time. I won't say editing, I'll say creating on Wi-Fi. That's fine. I always say, find out how good can be. Plug in an Ethernet cable. If you're wondering what's going on here, is it Premiere or my app? Is it my media too heavy? Is it the connection? What's happening? LucidLink's got some great tools. You'll see some little logos pop up in different colors to tell you your state. Obviously, green for good, caution yellow, and then red, maybe check the condition. So some good indicators there. But they use a fast back end to get things up and down. So that's great. But before you edit with Wi-Fi on the couch, I always say, plug it in, see how good can be, check your connection. I guarantee you'll just be like, this is fantastic. Then go hop over on the couch. And if your experience isn't as good as you want it to be, then you ask the typical questions, which I think is what you guys were like, maybe in Slack channel. They may say, well, what kind of router? Because maybe it's not a Wi-Fi 6, or maybe you don't know that. So I would say, you know, a more modern router will give you the more modern bits, because sometimes people have old equipment that they've been renting for years.
Yeah. So again, encourage you to each side of you guys. There are lots of demo stations with folks that can answer all of your questions. But for now, I think we'd like to give away some giveaways. Is that correct?
And I'll stick around for questions too afterwards if you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.